Todd Dunivant, the new sporting director, speaks. Pascal Jansen, he speaks. New York City FC, we've got a new MLS season in 26. I'm a little rusty, but NYCFC Views Live is back.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. NYCFC Views.
Collins approaches the shot, and New York City wins the first MLS Cup on their first try, and they're going crazy.
Tiene tiro y gol! New York City es el campeón de Major League Soccer!
The sickest New York City FC podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Glenn Crooks. There's Roberto Abramowitz. We are your favorite and only New York City FC radio coverage. I'm in English. Roberto's in Spanish. Been there for the first kick, and now on to another season, Roberto. We've got a new sporting director, which is pretty big news because David Lee, he's been around since the outset of all this. He's chiefly responsible for building what is there currently. And now Todd Dunivant, who has an interesting background. He's only won 5 MLS Cups as a player. So
That's it?
Yeah. So the guy's got some success. He's got some intellect, I would say. He's a Stanford grad and a guy from Colorado. And he did a really a wonderful job, first with the San Francisco Glens. That was the team that only lasted 1 year. Mark Dos Santos, who's now the new LAFC head coach, was the head coach of this team. And together, they won the NASL championship in 2017 and then folded after 1 year. And then Sac Republic, he helped build that, although there was a pretty big disappointment along the way. It looked like they were coming to MLS, and then they weren't. And here he is. And then good old Pascal Jansen seems like the veteran here now in his second season. So here we go, Roberto. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. Looking forward to the season. I know that you're going out to Coachella, and the plan for me is for me to join you for a while, although that won't be on the air, mind you, but I'll be there. So we'll have some fun if you actually have time, because you sent me your schedule, and oh my God.
You know,
You are busy. By the way, take time. Take in, the beautiful scenery. All the sand that blows along everywhere there near Palm Springs. And, I want to go and do stuff while I'm there.
Well, I the first year I went, I did a lot of stuff and did a little less work than I have last year and now this year. But SiriusXM is supporting my venture. There's 12 MLS teams there, so I get the head coach from every team in about a 15 to 20-minute sit-down, and then at least one player from each team. So do the math. That's 24 interviews in a 7 or 8 day period. And what's really nice is I'll be doing the streams for the New York City FC games. They're playing LAFC, the aforementioned. Then they'll play Sporting KC, and then the San Jose Earthquake. So little reunion with David Lee, a little back and forth with Bruce Arena, and
should be fun.
And then
I'll be there for the last two. Okay. I'm going to wind up missing the LAFC game, but I should be there for the next two. I'm going to go to Mexico City again in the beginning of February if everything works out. They have Art Week in Mexico City, and they've been doing this for years, but I've never gotten a chance, and this time I've got the time, and so I'm going to go with friends from New York and friends from Mexico, and we're going to go to the museum capital of the world, which is Mexico City, and there's going to be some outstanding art. So, I'm just not soccer focused.
Are you going to try to bring some art home? I mean, will you have that capability or not?
Well, I mean, I'm depending on the size of it, but I mean, from Mexico City, I have to fly to Salt Lake City, and then from Salt Lake City to Palm Springs, and then Palm Springs hang out at Coachella,
I was
then fly
gonna.
back to New York. So
Oh,
it's going to be, it's not coming straight home.
all right. I was gonna front you some cash, and then maybe you could take a little video and say, Glenn, how about this one? And then, but I'll keep it small. Come on, man.
Yeah, my sister. By the way, I have a table here full of stuff that I've got to bring. I had to bring an extra suitcase to Acapulco. So I was in Acapulco last week with Eddie, and I had to bring an extra suitcase exclusively for things that my sister wanted.
Well, I'll be happy to have you bring an extra suitcase for me. Well done,
No,
Roberto. I
I don't
appreciate it.
want to bring another suitcase because then I got to put it underneath the plane, and that's a pain in the butt. I don't like putting suitcases underneath the plane anymore.
All right. All right. Well, look, let's talk some football, or am I allowed to call that? Roberto likes Todd Dunivant because he calls it a field instead of a pitch. That's
Yes,
what a great reason to like someone. I mean, unbelievable. Anyway,
yes.
let's get into this.
One of ours.
So much has happened. Like I've got this list of things. Like I've got Etihad Park, Casino, Cohen, Tati Castellanos, West Ham, James Sands, first Bundesliga goal, Richie Ledesma playing now with the switch to Mexico, John Dennis, our kid who beat cancer. He's a coach now in Westchester. Brendan Aronson, look what he's done. South Jersey boy, Philadelphia Union. Christian Espinoza is in the league now with Nashville instead of San Jose. Oh my God! So I mean,
They
but we're
screwed
not going to
that
be able to
up.
get into like any of those things probably. But I just wanted to run down that list really quickly because we really need to play these clips from both Pascal and Todd Dunivant, the new sporting director. So I thought let's start with Pascal. That's the most recent. We had him this afternoon with some of the other members of the community blogs and coverage, and I thought I wanted to start this way because and the reason I want to is because you and I already had an argument off mic last night about Misha Ilinich's departure, which I think is regrettable, but it's best for him. And maybe there's something going on between him and Pascal. We know there was an issue last year, and uh, and the thing was is you were putting that as a prominent need, a right back. I said we got Tavon Gray. Well, who's going to back him up? And then, of course, Drew Byera's name came up. So I thought
Yeah.
it was pretty interesting that Pascal really made that point. They're not shopping for a right back. Drew Byera, if anything happens to Gray or he needs a break, Drew Byera is playing fullback with the first team this year. I thought that was one of the more interesting things he said today.
It was, and I think it has to do more as far as Misha Ilinic leaving. I think it has to do more with the fact that Tavon Gray solidified himself in cement, right, as the preferred right back, and he did it because he can defend a hell of a lot better than Misha Ilinic could. I mean, and Ilinic is a great attacking player. Although remember, 2 years ago, Tavon Gray was the leading assist. Leading the team in assists with 7 assists. So last year he fell off in that department, but it may not have been all of his fault, mind you. But defensively, we know how solid he can be. But Ilinic really, I don't want to say he fell out of favor, but he was solidly beaten out by Tavon Gray. And he wants to play, and it's understandable that he wants to play. So this gives him an opportunity. He goes out on loan, he goes back to Europe, and now he's hopefully has an opportunity to be an everyday starter. And hopefully he gets an opportunity to be able to work on, some of the things that he really needs to work on, which, isn't as much one-on-one defending as it seemed to be positioning so many times that he kept people on side and things like that, that were detrimental to the team. So you hope that he figures these things out and does well. We wish him nothing but the best. And I'm happy to hear that Drew Byera is going to be number 2. And that, as Pascal said, and it's probably in the clip, he's competing. That was the word he used with
Yeah.
Tavon.
Yeah, I don't have that one clipped, but that's another important point. I mean, and he made that. I think he made that clear. I think that was an important moment for Pascal. He wanted to make sure that everyone is competing for a position. No one owns a position. Let's just put it this way: Drew Byera is not beating Tavon Gray out for that position. All things being equal. Now, the thing about Byera, I don't know if I ever said this. I think I said it on the pod once or to you off mic Matty Lawrence was up at the training facility with me one day, and we were in that where the New York City FC 2 team meets, but that's also where we do some of our interviews when we're up there on a training day when the 2 team is away. Well, we were in there, and then Matt Pilkington, the 2 team coach, walked in, and there were a bunch of names on the board. So we walked over and basically asked him, so among these players that we're looking at here, who's got a chance to really make the senior team and then maybe even move on from there? And he pointed to 3 guys: Johnny Shore, Maximo Carrizo, and Drew Bayer. Because I hadn't seen it in Bayer at that point, but Matt Pilkington knew, and that's 2 years ago. So he knew he had it as well. So good for Bayer to be put into that position, and he must be training well, or that also wouldn't have been said, right? I mean, he's
Exactly.
obviously fitting in. Now let's go on to uh, Justin Hack, the departure of Justin Hack to the LA Galaxy, which we won't have to wait too long to see Justin. We'll see him at Coachella, number one, because the Galaxy is there, but also New York City opens the year at LA Galaxy. Here's Pascal referring to Hack and Gustavo and maybe some other things. But here's Pascal on Hack.
Justin made a decision to leave us, and that is his right to do that. We wish him all the best in LA. For us, we already anticipated a few things because we knew Justin was going to be out of a contract at a certain point in time. So that's when we brought in Raul Gustavo, who can play left center back and left full back. And I also put in a request with the board in order to think about a possibility to bring in a player that might suit that profile, what Justin brought to the back four. So that is something we're still looking into. But other than that, we have all positions occupied. Misha obviously has gone on loan, but we have one of our talented kids, Drew Bayer, come into the roster of the first team, and he's competing with Tavon at the moment, so everything looks quite comfortable.
So we did have the clip. There was. So now you heard it from Pascal himself. I would love to just be able to just sit in on that board meeting, and I'm wondering how Pascal, what his persuasive tendencies are in a meeting like that. I wonder if he gets high into his chair, and because he's also got another position to fill, and we'll get to that in a moment too. I should say that Dunivant also addressed Hack a little bit, but I don't think he was very much involved. But how about the fact that Gustavo, bringing him in was more of a protection in case Hack did leave because they knew the situation.
Well, they also needed somebody back there. Remember, you still have Tanasiewicz on the roster, so he's going to be, your backup in the middle for the team. But good to know that Drew Bayer is going to be, the number one behind Tavon Gray, because as we know, and that was one of how I formulated a question to him during the press conference today, that he plays his young players, and so I wanted to know, who the ones that stood out. So last year, he played 15 games for New York City FC2. He played in 2024 27 games, and he scored 4 goals for the team. And in 2023, he played 12 games and had an assist. He's also represented the United States youth teams at the U16, U18, and U19 levels. So, he's got talent. And I'm glad to see that New York City, again, is elevating, the youth players. And we know that they're going to get a chance to play because that's part of Pascal's pedigree.
Well, Johnny Shore is going to get a chance with Andres Perea on the sideline. I suppose we should interject. Andres Perea, Keaton Parks, Malachi Jones. Those are the 3 injured players in camp. Working in reverse order, it still sounds like Malachi Jones is far, far away from competing based on the response from Pascal. He didn't get specific. He just said there have been a couple of minor setbacks. Hard to say what that means. And they're working him along very slowly. They're doing the same with Parks, but it sounded like Keaton was further along, but still not close to competing. But Andres Perea, he goes, he's a different story. He's coming off of surgery. But as we learned along the way, it was more figured to be a 2 month absence after the surgery rather than very long
Yeah,
term. So I think
right.
he'll I don't know when he'll compete in preseason or if he will, but he'll be back sooner than those other two by far, by far.
And it seems, based on what he told me and what I heard during the end of last season, was that the surgery was very, very successful, and that he should be ready within the first month. I mean, he could be ready for game one, it could be game four, but he should be ready for the first month, and that's great news. I mean, I saw a couple of videos. Keaton Parks competing. He was seemed to be all in. So I was happy to see that.
When you say competing, hold on, I want to define that. Did he have his shin pads on? Were they going full tilt? What do you mean
It,
competing?
it seemed that way. It was a really small snippet,
I missed
but
that.
yeah, it was in one of the videos that the team released during preseason. But he was there was like going in and and challenging. So it looked like, based on that he was doing okay. I mean, it's hard to tell by one snippet, but it was definitely encouraging to see it. And then
The first
Malachi, no idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be a while, I think. And again, with Johnny Shore there to come in for Perea, that's more than insurance. I mean, he proved that he can get the job done at the early stages of last year too. The first thing we really saw from the digital department of note in preseason was a picture of Tyler Magno, several pictures, walking into the facility in Orangeburg, New York, getting a big hug from Pascal Jansen. So what is going on? So we've got two clips here. One from the new sporting director, Todd Dunivant, and then Pascal. Let's play Dunivant first. Let's get some words from the new SD here regarding Tyler Magno.
Yeah, Tallis has been back with us in preseason now, and has been really, really good integrating in with the group. It's sort of a blank slate for him, regards to me, regards to Pascal. Two new faces for him that weren't here previously when he was here. So he's been at Corinthians, and to get him back in with our team, he's already got some established relationships, but he's really hit the ground running this preseason, and really happy to have him back. He's a versatile player. And has been an important player, as an MLS Cup ring, at this club. So there's a lot of positives to Tallis coming back, and we're certainly hopeful that he's gonna add another one to his collection. Yeah, I mean, Tallis is a great attacking option in multiple positions. He can play in the wings. He can play in different positions that I think are really interesting. So we're evaluating that. Pascal, I think has shown that he's very good at getting the best out of his roster, and that could be moving players in different positions. He's done that in the playoffs. He really puts a team on the field that gives what he feels is the best chance to win, and he's a lot more often right than wrong, and I think he's shown that over and over. And so I think Tallis brings some versatility that is going to help. I think that's an aspect that certainly Pascal likes, and frankly I like the ability to play in multiple positions to solve different problems as the roster evolves, or injuries happen, or call-ups, or you name it. It's good to have players that can do different things, and I think Tallis, we're evaluating exactly what that is at this point, but he certainly brings something to our attack that is going to be helpful.
Is going to be helpful. I mean,
Yes.
that's pretty definitive from the new sporting director.
It is, but at the same time, for what I've understood, okay, and some of the conversations that I've had, the team really wants to loan him out or sell him. And if that doesn't work and they can't do that, then they'll integrate him into the team and he'll return. But as far as I understand, there are teams, I believe, in Brazil who are still interested. So we'll see what winds up happening. But I think that the way I sort of understood it was that they would prefer for him to be, playing, elsewhere if they can. But if not, then they're happy to have him back.
Well, I think we both heard similar things, but what's interesting about it is I think that the clean slate part of this, Pascal's never worked with him.
Yeah,
And Donovan's never probably seen him other than who's seen him with the Corinthians lately? He's hardly playing. So,
exactly.
which is not good news. And if he couldn't get regular time there, well, that's a competitive situation. Not to say it's not, but if they're, I'd say one thing after hearing all the comments from both press conferences, nobody mentioned Tyler Magno as a striker, thankfully. So that's, I
Yeah,
don't think that's going to be, I don't think we're going to see him rotating into the middle up top. I mean, it's going to be Seymour Reed and
and
Fernandez.
whoever comes in, Fernandez right now
Yeah,
as a second option. Yeah.
yeah. So let's get the Tyler Magno update from Pascal Jansen, the gaffer. Here he is.
Talis has been with us since we started our medicals, and we've enjoyed his presence ever since. So he's working hard in order to show what he can do for us as a team, and we're enjoying that very much. So all good so far.
Brief, to the point. All good so far. So that certainly doesn't.
Yeah.
That's no sort of commitment. I thought Todd's rhetoric was a little bit more like, yeah, man, he's going to help us, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I remember just before he left, he was having a really, really hard time getting into the lineup. Remember that.
Yeah.
It seemed like he'd really fallen out of favor at that time before he went on loan.
And that's David Lee and Nick Cushing. So,
Yeah,
there's two different
two total.
outlooks. Two different outlooks.
100%. I agree. I mean, maybe they see something in him, or maybe something in him has changed as well. That's more positive, and because talent we know he has, it's just a matter of how he uses it. So, and Pascal has been very good about getting a lot out of players, especially when you didn't expect it. So, you hope that it works out well for Pascal, be it here or someplace else.
Let's go back to Todd Dunivant, the new sporting director, who is moving from Sacramento Republic USL Championship to New York City FC under the auspices of City Football Group. So it seems like he's got a pretty good understanding that there's a bit of a competitive advantage here, as well as someone offered a question sort of with David Lee involved because of the transfer window. Most of the time, we didn't see a majority of the players come in until the summer under David Lee. So here's Todd Dunivant.
Yeah, I'm obviously not focused on what David Lee did, but I'm also, a big admirer of what he did and what the club has done for so long. There's so much tradition here and really a tradition of success. Brad Sims has been the CEO now for a very long time and has led this club, to a lot of things, including an MLS Cup in 2021. And that's the heights we want to reach. And we feel like we are primed right now with this team and with this staff to absolutely compete for that trophy. And that's our goal. That is absolutely what we want to do. Being part of City Football Group, we're part of a bigger ecosystem. It's a big advantage for us, and we, are going to continue to explore ways to take advantage of that, to maximize that, and to utilize that competitive advantage that that really other clubs just don't have in our league.
So he's talking MLS Cup pretty early, but here's the deal. No matter who the sporting director is, whether David Lee was still here or now it's Todd Dunivant, the City Football Group and the Muckety Mucks, they want a team either winning MLS Cup or getting to the final or really competing heavily for it in 2026. That's this season, so they could open up the new stadium with that kind of momentum. Or if not, then in 2027, you need to win MLS Cup, or again, be right there. So that is the charge I know that is put to the sporting director. So that's what he's walked into.
Right, he's walked into that. Now, does he walk into more money than David Lee had? I mean, so that's a big key, right? Because you could say this is what our goals are, but you're limited in how much money you can spend, because we know that New York City does not spend with LAFC, does not spend with Inter Miami, maybe now with Toronto, because Toronto isn't going to spend like they used to, but the Galaxy spends a lot of money as well. So all those teams, push the limits of the salary cap to the breaking point. New York City is somewhere middle of the field. And so do they feel that the system that they have, because of the scouting that they have and the type of players that they've been able to find, is that going to be good enough to be able to achieve MLS Cup? They don't have to spend a ton of money because, there's a lot of teams that don't spend a lot of money and are very successful. Hello, Philadelphia, right? Because spending money isn't always the only way to be able to achieve these things. So it's going to be interesting to see what their approach is as far as player acquisition and how they're going to go forward with that.
Can I make a prediction?
Okay,
Yeah, it's
let's
not going
go,
to change.
Glenn. Tell me.
It's not going to change. It's
Oh
not
well,
going to change.
then.
That's my thought on it. It's not going to change.
But
And
there's one thing that they said that was interesting, that Todd Dunivant, and we haven't played it, and maybe you've got this one queued up because I didn't know all the ones that you have queued up. Because one of the questions he got was about DP players that make a difference, and we mentioned Son, right? Obviously Messi, DePaul. There's a lot of players that have come in. Thomas Mueller coming in Vancouver, and all these guys were like really high impact players, right? They made huge differences for those teams, and the way New York City had always addressed this, and it was basically David Lee always addressing this, was basically saying,
I'm
that's not the way we roll.
No, but I remember bringing that up to him, and I'm pretty sure you were in the room. I think it was one of our interviews together with him. And when I said that, he goes, "I never said that. I never said that. I just said we're being very careful and understanding that what happened with the big three that came in via Pirlo and Lampard, it didn't necessarily translate into winning the cup. So they turned it over. But David Lee, I remember this vividly, said if it's the right guy, we're going to go after it. I think it's more from above, Roberto. When I mean above, I mean City Football Group.
CFG.
I think, and this is the new thing for Todd Dunivant, obviously, is that he's not just making these decisions with Pascal Jansen and then Brad Sims gives him the okay. It goes up the ladder, and you've got other people that have to sign off on it. So that's where it becomes a little bit more complicated. Well,
so you and I are going to slightly disagree on this, because it was clear to me the way it was explained, right, is that yes, it has to be like a super special player that they would bring in, but right now they weren't in that interest level of doing that, because it's got to be the right locker room fit aside from the right soccer fit. Sure. And I understand that, because New York City has a very special locker room, and that I think is part of the reason why this team is successful and why they do as well as they do, because everybody, seems to be on the same page. I love to see, guys on the bench who haven't played in weeks going out and going crazy and celebrating goals with players, who have taken their place. I think that speaks volumes about a locker room. And I always talked about that and how special that was and how good that was. But I think that, there was a sour taste left in their mouth based on, some of the things that happened with some of the higher profile players. And now they want to be a little bit more careful, but they haven't been looking for that type of player is going to become,
I don't think,
somebody who's going to sell tickets.
I don't think anything Todd Dunivant said on Tuesday has a different ilk to it. I just don't.
I do. I think that they came closer to saying, yeah, we might start looking at that profile player more. That's the feeling that I got. That was the difference. That is more of a possibility now than it was under David Lee.
Well, let's see if we can find that out along the way. But there's a certain amount of sense that it makes, if it's the right guy, to open up your new stadium with Son or Mueller or somebody.
But I would do it the year before as opposed to the year of the stadium. You don't sell 30,000 seats at Yankee Stadium and at Citi Field, for the second half of the season.
Well, let's see what they come up with, because Alonso Martinez isn't going to be on the pitch for a long time. all those goals that he's leaving on the table has to be made up. And Pascal
Yeah.
Jansen today, of course, was asked about, well, what are you going to do about that, Coach? Here's Pascal Jansen on the striker need.
Alonso is injured, obviously, and we've started our preseason. So we have Seymour Reed as a young talent dealing with that position. Once Alonso got injured, we played in the playoffs with Nico Mercao in that position. But it's our desire and our wish to find somebody with the perfect profile to come and support this dressing room again. So this is one of the other requests that I had to the board and to the CEOs and the sporting director to look into the possibilities to bring in a new number 9 as well. And that's looking good so far. We're in the process, and hopefully we can move on soon.
All right. Well, if they weren't involved with anybody, he wouldn't have said it. So,
Yeah.
but is it going to be, the marquee name that you're referring to, that'll bring people in?
I think it would be hard for the winter window for that to happen. I think you have a much better chance in the summer window, which, by the way, got expanded today. So they announced the new dates, and now they go into September to line up with the European end of the transfer window, which I think is really, really good. But better opportunity to sell players if team want to, but at the same time, much better opportunities to bring guys in who have, who are basically not going to be playing in Europe anymore.
One more from Todd Dunivant, and this might include something that you referred to earlier. I can't remember, but it's titled "Roster Ready for MLS Cup." Let's see what he says about that.
Some of those other teams do spend.
Yeah, it's an interesting trend you've kind of seen lately. You mentioned all the guys, and those are recent players. I think it's almost the Messi effect, if you will. So it's something, there's no question we're talking about what makes the most sense, and when is A, do we do it, and B, when do we do it? Because as you said, we've got a stadium to open, and how do we manage that, and how do we get the roster set up to make sure we are putting a product on the field that matches the gravity of the moment. And I think whether that is splashing on a big name or a big player, a big investment, this club and this City Football Group has shown that it can and has the ability to do that. We have to make the football decisions and the soccer decisions to decide that that's the right strategy or not. And that's something we're talking about weekly and sometimes daily. So it's a fun one, and it's going to be very dependent too on what opportunities are there and ultimately where we want to take it. But there's no question we've got the resources if that's the direction we're going to go.
Yep. So that hearing that again, I could see where you're thinking it's more definitive. We'll see. We'll see about that. It's interesting. The other aspect of all this, and I know I asked, and you asked that question there, which elicited a really good response. We never got a chance to ask Pascal about last season. So I just threw it out there. What was his proudest moment? And it makes sense that it was towards the tail end of the season. But here he is, Pascal Jansen, and then we'll put the ribbon on 2025 here. Here's Pascal.
2 games actually. The games against Charlotte and the game against Philadelphia away. Given the fact that we were dealing with some severe setbacks, losing a couple of players with severe injuries, and the team's resilience after, and the way they adapted to the new ideas that we had to implement during those games, and how we prepared for those games, that made me very proud, because that is something that I've been preaching from day one, is that we have to be flexible and adapt to situations quickly, learn fast, and still be very competitive and try to be successful. So in those 2 games, those were proud moments, to be honest.
That's nice, and that's a nice way to end it. Although, of course, it was a loss to Miami, where there were opportunities in the opening half, and that were not taken, and then you lose to Messi, who goes crazy there in the second half.
And some, well, yeah, also some bad defending in that game, but and not just by the defense, but by the whole team, and it fell apart pretty quickly. It was a shame, right, to end the season that way, but at least you lost to the champions, so you got that.
Yeah, Maxi Moralez is back, Roberto, which I don't think is a shock, but I think
No.
it's great news, and why not? Close it out. Um, your playing career with the New York City Football Club, where legendary status. I'm not sure exactly when Maxi attained that, but certainly last year, added on to it. Play, playing in every game, only him and Hack played in every game, and
Started every game.
started every
Okay,
game, and then
Ojeda,
Agustino Hayda played in every game.
every game.
Yeah.
Right. So
So
Hack was a minutes leader. Morales was number two, and then Ojeda played every single game as well. So the only three.
yeah, so that was really really remarkable on his end. And
Stayed healthy. I mean, because it wasn't like he played and they pulled him in the 45th minute every game or something like that. He was playing 85, 90 minutes or going the whole way for 99% of the season. So it's remarkable at 38 years old that he could hold up and play at the level that he played, and he earned his way back on the team.
he sure did, and I think that's where you manage a guy like that, and that's where you talked about good team, good locker room, good guys, understanding, supporting each other. Maxie didn't train as much as the other players. He just didn't, and but that the consideration is: do you want him fresh on the weekend, or do you want to kill him? So you make the decision. Let's have him fresh on the weekend,
Absolutely.
and it really paid off.
Yeah, you can't treat everybody this. Everybody feels that the best way to treat a team is you treat everybody the same. It doesn't work that way. You can't do that. You find out what motivates people or what helps people, and you treat them that way. You treat them as individuals, and some people are going to
Well,
get different treatment.
the people shouldn't be treated differently if they're better than another player in terms of discipline and the different things that happen within a team. So I think you got to be careful just to make that blanket statement because you
No,
do
no.
have
I mean, there's certain things that everybody's treated equally in, and
yeah,
there's other things that you're not.
right. Okay. I'm glad you cleared that up.
Thank you
Um,
very much.
Etihad Park looks like a stadium. Now, I haven't seen. I've just seen pictures. I don't know if you've driven by it. You're
I
close to
have.
it. Yeah. So tell us about it. What have you seen?
I mean, it just keeps on getting. I mean, we keep on hearing that it's not going to be ready until like March or April of next year. And the way you look at the stadium and how quickly everything is going, and the weather has, for the most part, cooperated. Maybe next week it won't, but
No, but
it's like every time you drive by, it's like something really big has happened to the stadium, and it's getting there. It is getting there very, very quickly, and it's great to see. I mean, now they've got they've got the cement seats in, for some of the parts. I think all the beams are all up for the most part. Now they're dealing with the roof. I mean, it's just like what?
yeah.
It's
Well,
like it's going quick.
yeah, when it starts looking like a stadium, you start getting excited about it. Maybe the plumbing takes a year. Maybe that's what's holding it back.
Well,
Then,
hopefully they'll put heating elements in the ceiling, so keep the fans warm if they have to start playing in February.
well, or if they have to start playing on January, what's next week? January 26th. Oh my goodness! The week is going to be. I know we're getting together. We're having a nice time tomorrow night. The broadcast crew's getting together for dinner. We haven't seen each other in a while. It'll be very fun. And then Roberto and I are going to see Steve Forbert at the Iridium. Now, I don't know if anybody out there knows Steve Forbert. I've followed him for years. The first time I saw him, Roberto, was at this little place in New Jersey called the Stanhope House. It's really cool. It's literally a house converted into this tiny little venue,
That's
and
awesome.
and it's and it still exists. in Stanhope, New Jersey. It's like in northern New Jersey. But
I've
this
got to
one,
go and revisit his music now because I mean I remember when I was in college I was playing Steve Forbert when I was
yeah.
at WBCR in Brooklyn College and I was a DJ there and I used to play his music all the time. But I might have been the last time I heard about it
Uh,
too.
just put on Romeo's tune, and that'll get you ready. Okay.
All right,
Romeo's tune.
that's good. I'll have to. I got Apple Music, so I'll be able to find his stuff. And if
So
not,
next,
there's always YouTube.
so Etihad Park is going to be ready in 2027. By the following year, I believe this is the start date for. There's going to be a casino. So Mr. Cohen got that approved,
He did.
and so that's going to be quite a place. When it's all done, there's schoolrooms, there's hotels, there's retail, there's Etihad Park, there's City Field, and then there's going to be this casino. I'm sure I'm leaving something out,
Well,
but
they're going to take away most of the parking as far as the spaces that you see, but they're going to build garages and they'll actually have more parking. So that's part of that as well. And remember that for every New York City FC game, they've allocated 4,000 parking spaces for the game. So we got to keep that in mind. But they're going to start building garages in and around there, and elevate the parking spaces so they're able to fit in the park and the casino and everything else that's going to be part of that, which is going to be a huge complex. They've absolutely transformed that entire neighborhood.
yeah. Well, it's going to be unbelievable, and not to mention the tennis facilities right there as well. Just a
Yeah.
couple of other things before we kick it around. I wanted to send out congratulations to Daniel Fradley, and again, those listening or watching, may not be remember Daniel or be familiar with him, but he was the video analyst and was a huge part of the MLS Cup. So with the New York City Football Club, and then he was with Nick Cushing after Ronnie Dylo left. Well, he just took a position. Oh, and he also worked with Cushing when Nick took over the Man City Women for a short spell last year. But Daniel Fradley on January 1st accepted the position of assistant coach under Vincent Kompany at Bayern Munich, who have clinched the top 16 spot in Champions League. That happened today, or yesterday, excuse me, yesterday. So, but how cool is that? And for such a good guy.
It is. I mean, he's earned it. He's earned it by quality work and being a quality human being.
Rafael Vicky is the new head coach at Sporting KC under David Lee. So everybody's wondering, who's David going to pick? It's Rafael Vicky, who's already been in MLS. He played at Chivas, which is interesting. He and then coached with the Chicago Fire, which maybe didn't go particularly well.
Did not go very well, no. But, Bill
And
Belichick coached with Cleveland and didn't go very well. And then he got Tom Brady in New England and won 6 championships.
well, in Switzerland, where he's from, he's done very well on the club level. So we'll see. But he named his assistants. One is Dominic Kinnear, who left FC Cincinnati. I thought he was going to get one of the head jobs. I thought he might get the St. Louis job. It didn't happen. Maybe he was up for it. So Kinnear, who I just recently had on my show on Sirius XMFC, and then a guy, Roberto, and I think I've mentioned his name to you before, and you might remember that I visited him a couple of times in England, Edu Rubio. He's been a multiple guest on Sirius XMFC, but I've gone to England twice to visit him. Once when he was with Wolverhampton Wanderers under Julian Lopetegui,
Mm-hmm.
and then Lopetegui left that position, went to West Ham, and brought Edu with him, and then they got sacked. And the story for me on that is I went last year to visit Edu, and I was going to 2 games, and I was going to get to a training session, and about a week before I went, they got fired. And
Yeah, I remember that. I
remember,
definitely remember that.
I still saw the games and I saw Edu, but I didn't have quite the inside position on that. But he's come to the States, and I'm very happy for him too. All right, let's kick it around, shall we?
Yeah.
Roberto, briefly, I just want to, in our business, we get these opportunities, and it's just like, it's crazy cool sometimes. So I've been going to the National Soccer Coaches Convention, United Soccer Coaches, since the early 80s. I've maybe missed 1 or 2. And this year, I moderated 2 panels. The first one was with Tab Ramos and John Harks. Throw that one up, Jimmy. Just the picture of the three of us. Yeah, there it is. So there's Tab and there's John, and we were talking about development, and they're excellent. These are guys not only are the iconic players, the pioneers who have really brought the game to where it is now, along with others like a Tony Miola and an Eric Winaldo, who you'll see in a minute. But they've also coached the game at the highest level. And Harks right now is the U15 assistant national team coach for the U.S. Men, which is fantastic. And Tab had all those years, 4 consecutive quarterfinals with the U20s, who before he got there were, they were invisible on the international level.
Yeah.
And so these guys are good. So I'm gonna hopefully I'm waiting for a copy of the audio of that played on my show. And then this next one is with Tab and Eric Winalda. And in this one, we were just talking about World Cup 26. And I was very interested, Roberto, in their comments about Gio Reyna, and especially Tab. They both think that you have to bring him, number one, which not everybody says yet. And Tab said the reason you need to bring him is because of who you're playing in the group stages. Paraguay and Australia, who are both going to sit very deep. You can lose the picture now, Jimmy. They're both going to sit very deep. And Gio Reyna is one of the few guys in the pool who can break down a low block and can kind of figure that out because of his creativity. So there's Tab Ramos coming through.
So if that's the case,
like a coach.
Yeah, if that's the case, and then I think that gives a better chance to somebody like Alejandro Sendejas to make the team. Because if that's one of the reasons, that's one of the specialties of Sendejas as well. He's not afraid to go one-on-one. And so you might need somebody like him to come in and attack a defense. So if that's the case, and that's the way they're looking at it, I think that makes for Sendejas to have a better chance of making the squad.
Well, and I think he'll be accepting of a role this time that is not as a starter, as opposed to in Qatar in 2022 when he had all kinds of issues. But a lot has happened, including he got married. He's married. I think 4 years removed from being 20 years old and on the world stage. I think that we both have been critical of Gio. We both have been critical of Claudio and how he handled it. That's out there. But let's give the kid a chance, and that's what Eric Winalda focused on, saying, we can't imagine what he went through at that age with all the stuff going on, and if we were in his boots and trying to sort it all out. So let's.
I'm all for giving people second chances, and I think he's such a talented player, and he has a skill level that very few players on the U.S. national team actually have. So I'm all for him, doing that, and he seems to have accepted his role with Borussia Mönchengladbach, where he isn't starting, but he's coming off the bench. He has started, in some spots, but he seems to be happy there. I mean, I remember the conversations that I was listening to and asked a couple of questions when he was with the U.S. national team and they played, where was it, in Red Bull Arena, I think it was?
Yeah.
Either there or Philly. And, he had a very positive, reaction to it. So, good for him. You hope that they learn from these things. Nothing should be permanent as far as punishments are concerned.
Well, Senegal winning AFCON, defeating the home city of Morocco. But here's this is outside. I don't know. Is this outside your apartment or whatever? Jimmy, play this scene in the streets of New York City, and then Roberto, you can talk us through it.
Wow. I mean, that was pretty impressive. So that was 116th Street. I don't know if people can hear me, but that was 116th Street on here in Manhattan. There was like a 3-block stretch that they just totally closed down. And the celebration in New York was fantastic. Now, I've been looking at videos of the game and stuff that happened there because I didn't watch it live.
I don't know if we.
And
I don't know how
don't
much we want to get into it. I mean, it
was insanity, Glenn. I've never seen anything like that.
It's the emotion. It's in Morocco. First of all, uh, Senegal, not expected to win it. Obviously, they were a pretty prominent underdog in that match. But here's the good news. I think. Look, I really don't want to. If you want to rehash this at some point, let's not do it now because we're running out of time. Because it was crazy. It was crazy what the Senegal supporters and security got involved with. It was crazy that the Senegal coach took his team off the field for 20 minutes, and Sadio Mane had to get everybody back on the pitch for the penalty, which ends up being saved when the kid does the Panenka. Oh my God! So you're right. It was absolutely insane, crazy, hard to
Did you see the part where the
and the goal was
Senegalese?
unbelievable. The goal was
Yeah,
unbelievable. But go ahead.
but did you see the part with the Moroccan Bull Boys, and then like some of the players and the coaches were stealing the towel of the Senegalese goalie?
Yeah.
And they had to bring, and then finally the reserve goalie had to stand there next to the goal with the towel, and they're chasing him around all up trying to steal his towel
No,
because the goalie
I,
needs to dry off his hands.
but
I
that had
mean,
happened.
what the
The reason,
heck?
but that had happened before. That keeper lost his towel once in one of the previous matches at AFCON. Anyway, here's the thing: Senegal and Morocco are both at MetLife in the group stages. Senegal twice of the World Cup, so England's going to be there. I'm forgetting all of them. There's 5 group stage games, and there's a round of 32, round of 16, and then of course the World Cup final is
It's
at MetLife.
48 game. There's 48 teams this time. I don't expect anybody to remember any of it.
We'll see. I'm looking forward to the games are very good at MetLife. If I had it in front of me, we'll go over them closer to when we're talking World Cup. What else happened here? Manchester City, the players gathered their funds and reimbursed the fans, the 400 fans who made the trip to the Arctic Circle when Bodo Glimt beat Man City in the Champions League 3-1. So the players refunded for their tickets. They didn't refund their the cost of their travel, but they refunded their tickets. So they all got together and contributed. And how about that?
That is pretty crazy. Anyway, a couple of things that I've seen around here that I'm interested in talking about. Congratulations to Richie Ledesma, who is starting for the Mexican national team tonight when they play Panama at 8 o'clock. Game is on
Nice.
Univision.
That's great.
I think on Fox Deportes in English, which is sort of interesting. They'll also be, I believe they'll be on Univision and TUDN. So Richie, who was really just never given a chance with the national U.S. national team, he's been playing very well for Chivas. And so now he has been included
Is
on the Mexican national team, and we'll see. I think he has a chance to actually making the team for the World Cup.
interesting. Is Brian Gutierrez in the 11?
I believe so. They have a Gutierrez there, but there's like nothing else. I believe that's Brian Gutierrez. He's also,
Their
he also
teammates.
switched.
Their
Right.
teammates. Their
The
teammates on
teammates at
Chivas, right?
Chivas, right. He came from Chicago
Yeah.
and
Well,
from the Chicago Fire.
that was
So
a big
guys who
move.
just never really got big chances with the U.S. Switch allegiances and are now playing for Mexico. And I just want to say for the record, I just wish them all the best.
All right. Gutierrez was boy. You talk about homegrown. He was at 10 years old. He was going to Chicago Fire games,
Yeah.
and then that was I'm sure a difficult move for him, but it's going to turn out to be maybe profitable, along with Ledesma, who was a great guy when he was with us here at New York City FC. Uh, a couple of things to close. First, Rocco Camiso passing away. To me, that was sudden, but apparently, it turned out it was kept pretty quiet. He was sick. So, 63 years old. Oof.
Oof.
So
It's younger than us.
he Cosmos, Rocco Camiso Cosmos, just a Columbia University, he's a real passionate guy. And then what he did at
Yeah.
Fiorentina, and then got a facility built for them, like a training facility with proper offices and things like that. And he did so much there. But that's what I
He
remember.
wanted to build a stadium as well, and he found out that building stadiums in Italy is not exactly the easiest thing in the world.
It's harder
So
than Queens, I've heard.
it's harder than New York, for sure. It's definitely harder than New York.
And Roberto, to close, I really we've been off for a while and had a long break, and there was a tragic moment in your life with your family where Brenda passed away, and I feel so badly for you and Eddie in particular, and I would just want to give you a chance to say something that because I think a lot of people I'm sure watching and listening aren't aware of it.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. My wife suffered terrible depression. Um, she battled with it for a long, long time. Sadly, with the healthcare system that we have in this country, they weren't able to give her any of the best of help, to be honest. And I think that actually contributed to what wound up happening. We miss her terribly. She's not suffering anymore. She was suffering really badly. She'd have these great highs and just terrible lows. And, Eddie especially, had to see this and witness it. And he was actually quite a help for me so often and trying to bring her back up. And, and I think that because of him, especially, she was here as long as she was. We miss her. We love her. And I'm not going to and these are things that I've spoken to Eddie about because we knew that there was a chance that something could happen. And for years. And so he was, in a way, as prepared as you can be for something like this. And we're going to live our best lives. We're going to, especially Eddie, I want him to live his best life, to be happy, and not let this disease take away anything more than they've already taken away from Eddie, from myself, from her sisters, from her mother, from her friends. And I'm not going to let mental health, cause more tragedies with us. So we're going to live our best lives as best we can, and we'll do it in celebration of Brenda, in memory of Brenda. And we miss her terribly. We're sorry that she's not here anymore. And but Eddie and I, we have to continue. We've got to move on. And I refuse to become another victim of this disease. I just refuse to let it happen. And thank you for mentioning it.
You're welcome and well put, Roberto. And condolences to everyone, um, family and friends, because it impacts a lot of people. So we carry on with the New York City Football Club, which is a nice divergence too, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be able to cover this team with such a wonderful person like Pascal Jansen at the head of it, and players who show us respect. And it's very, we're privileged, but I'm happy that you have that in your life.
Thank you. And I want to mention the team because they've been nothing but absolutely fantastic throughout all of this, sending me, aside from condolences, just saying, that they'll support me in any which way that I need. They've shown up. They've been here. Esteban visited. Sam visited. I've heard from other people. And, it's great to work for an organization such as New York City FC. I mean, they're just top notch all the way. And I really, really appreciate it. And I wanted to give them a shout out because they've earned it.
All right, so we'll close it with that, and we will be back sometime next week. We're going to be in a regular rhythm again, right, Roberto?
I hope so. Yes,
Okay,
I hope so.
we're going to try. And
You have no idea all the stuff that I've got to do, all the stuff that's been thrown my way after this.
all right,
It's incredible amount of work.
well, just let's always think of it for now anyway as a divergence, just a chance to get
Yes.
away from it all for an hour, and of course, spend time with your favorite person, me. So that
Huh?
well, after Eddie, I better at least be in the top 10.
My sister might have a word with you.
Top 10.
All right, you easily make top 10.
All right, I appreciate that. So thanks everyone for joining us. And so for Roberto Abramowitz, I'm Glenn Crooks for New York City NYCFC Views. Oh, thanks to Jimmy too. See you guys.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast NYCFC Views on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.